So, do I support the minimum wage hike? I do not. Let me tell you why.
All right.
It is unfair to people who have worked hard. It is unfair to people who went to school. It is unfair to trade professionals, talented, qualified, skilled individuals. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because minimum wage is not intended to support a family. People who make minimum wage should not drive nice cars. Maybe they have to take a bus, ride to work. People making minimum wage should not be able to afford their own apartments, stuff like that. Can you live?
You're an asshole, and you should probably die.
Yeah, it's pretty sad to say. Well, it's not intended for that. It's like, so the millions of people that find themselves in those positions are just, fuck them. They should have done something different.
So you're basically saying that people who work a full work week at a job that is probably so hard that your fucking stupid, overprivileged ass wouldn't even do it yourself, they don't deserve a living wage. Well,
right.
Fuck you. I don't know. I mean,
and then they get on welfare, and then society picks up.
Well, he's probably against welfare too, because he's a piece of shit. And like all pieces of shit, he's against helping anyone but him fucking self.
Yes.
So I wish he would just dunk his head in the toilet and drown himself, but whatever.
Above the minimum wage as it is.
It's rare for someone.
I feel bad though, because someone that gets paid minimum wage, we'll probably have to clean it up.
I can't believe how quickly you've made me just revile you as a fucking person. Like usually it takes at least a little while.
Yeah, this is a bunch of whiny
fuck
babies.
This person, but wow, like right out of the gate, I hate your fucking guts. You're horrible. You're just fucking horrible. Thanks.
It is, absolutely. Many people are doing it right now. I did it. But the real thing
Talk about sucking dick
is
or
it's
what?
Destroy a lot of jobs.
No, it's not.
Businesses, especially small businesses, are not going to be able to afford
bullshit
to pay employees minimum wage if it increases 50%. In the state of California, in some counties, minimum wage is going up from $10 an hour to $15 an hour.
Okay,
that's going to happen but it's not going to happen overnight. So you already misrepresented the issue. It's going to happen gradually, and I mean, could it potentially lead to some job loss? Like, it's possible.
Maybe short term.
But over time, the market will adjust. Labor costs will be adjusted to. Yeah, well, that's why it happens over a long period of time. Several years.
I'm sorry, but a lot of jobs are. I mean, maybe there'll be some short-term job loss. I don't know, but long-term, it should be nothing but job growth. Because what you're doing when you give people $15 an hour, yeah, McDonald's might have to raise the price of a sandwich fucking 25 cents, but those people who were making jack shit are now making enough money to actually buy goods and services. That makes there more demand for those goods and services. That means you have to hire more people, and you have to pay those people the same wage, and so on and so forth. This is a way of fighting against the income disparity that has become such a huge problem in this fucking country, but you don't want to look at that because you're a fucking moron who just, I don't think someone who scrubs the toilets at McDonald's deserves to be able to afford to put a roof over their head. They should sleep under an overpass and take the bus to work. Well, why don't you go fuck yourself? How about I pay you $15 an hour to go fuck yourself in the ass, you miserable pile of useless, goddamn inhuman, sub-degenerate shit.
I don't think he's worth $15 an hour, TJ. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, well, it'll be worth it when I fucking show him his dildo made of pine cones and sulfuric acid.
Was that the 20-inch dildo you were talking about buying?
No, this one's going to be 40.
Oh, okay.
40 inches.
Wide.
Call it the gutter.
Are not going to be able to afford that. They're going to go out of business. And what they're going to do to try to stay afloat, and even major corporations are going to do this, you're going to see an increase in the cost of everything.
Yeah,
of course.
You are going to see a cost increase, but if you'd actually done any fucking studying on this subject matter that you're trying to speak so authoritatively about, you would realize that the cost increases are negligible. Like, they've actually done stuff. That thing I always talk about, 25 cents more on the Big Mac and shit, that was an actual example of a study that was done. If McDonald's raised the minimum wage to $15, they would have to raise the price of a Big Mac, I think 25, 35 cents. Some minuscule amount like that. So, yeah, it will raise prices.
Nope,
but
gonna
prices,
go out of business.
You know, when you're going to basically double the wages of workers, but these businesses only have to raise the prices a small fraction of a percent to accommodate that. And most of these companies are already making massive profits anyway.
Bread, clothes, you name it. They're going to have to. The days...
Well, most clothes are not made in the U.S., buddy. If you knew that, those are made overseas in sweatshops, which I guess you have no problem with because they're paid so little.
Yeah, right. The vast majority, I think 80% of clothes worn by Americans are not manufactured in America. Most of them are manufactured in places like Bangladesh. Yep. So the wages of American workers probably have very little to do with the price of clothing.
Employees $15 an hour. You think you're going to get that fucking cheeseburger on the dollar menu? No.
Dollar menu doesn't exist anymore anyway.
Yeah, they've already pretty much phased
that
out.
Due to inflation, that's pretty much been done away with.
Yeah. It's going to be $1.50 menu.
Yeah, and people will be getting paid more, so who gives a shit?
If I know people are going to get paid more and I have to pay more, that's fine by me. I think it'd be fine by a lot of other people. I mean, obviously you don't like it, but you're pretty much a reprehensible scumfuck, so who cares?
They're going to make money somehow. It's going to be off the consumer to try to cover that loss. And again, minimum wage is
not a loss. They can raise the prices.
You can get by on it, barely. If you want to make more.
Yeah, also, a lot of these consumer-based businesses, they're going to be making more money if we raise the minimum wage because people are going to be able to afford the goods and services more. So this is actually going to be a boon to all of these companies that you're talking about are going to be so hurt by it.
No, TJ, when people in lower income brackets have more money, which we know they don't save because they have to spend more money, the fact that they'll spend more money is not going to stimulate the economy in any way.
Yeah, it will.
Money, go to school, get a trade, be talented, be resourceful. I mean,
yeah, just go to school and get a trade and stuff.
Because
that's easy to do, you know.
Well, so we know most people that work minimum wage jobs. We know they just have the luxury of saying, "Hey, I'm just going to go take off, 2 or 3 years or 4 years, whatever, and go back to school."
You know what? I know I'm trying to make ends meet with this shitty job working for Subway for minimum wage, but you know what I'm going to do? Even though I have no ability to save money whatsoever, I'm going to save up some money to go to school.
If only there was a politician.
Let them eat cake.
That had some ideas about issues like this for like public universities and colleges. Huh. If
there
only.
Is, and her name is Hillary Clinton.
And her name is John Cena.
We're talking about Bernie Sanders, people. Vote Bernie. Feel the burn. Hashtag feel the burn.
Example. When I started doing
give me an
sushi,
example. Good.
Well, first of all, I worked for minimum wage for...
See, he does sushi. Is that what he said?
It says worked for minimum wage.
At the beginning of my
I said something about sushi.
Employment 25 years ago. I flipped burgers. I washed cars. I worked at Target.
Yeah.
Mowed lawns. Shit like that.
Yeah.
And I got sick of that. The job sucked. Paychecks even sucked worse.
So wait, you're meaning to tell me you actually understand the position these people are in, and yet you're still against them? What a fucking... You're even more of a piece of shit than I thought. I thought at least you were some snob who was cloistered away from all this shit. I mean, I looked at your shitty house and assumed that, I knew you weren't fucking rich living in that fucking shithole, but, I thought that maybe you would at least had enough of a, maybe not a silver spoon, but like, a fucking, what's a...
Like a brass spoon or something?
Yeah, like a brass spoon in your mouth, and you never had to work the minimum wage jobs, But apparently, no. You've worked the shitty jobs, and you realize how hard they are, and you realize how disappointing it is to get that shitty slap in the face paycheck, and yet you're still up here talking this bullshit. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you to death. You're horrible. How can you speak these words from your mouth and not just retch at the sound of your own voice?
Because he earned it, TJ, unlike these lazy slobs.
What did he earn? Some fucking desolate shithole? With some fucking lamp from fucking 1860 behind
him and
shit?
He earned it, TJ. Unlike these lazy people who just want to flip burgers for $100 an hour.
And these crappy fucking reproduction paintings he's got hanging up in his fucking living room.
He earned it.
So what did I do? I saved up some money when I was flipping burgers.
Wow.
Making minimum wage. At the time, it was like $7 an hour or something like that.
He fucking did it.
But I did it. And anyway.
Well, you just said that people who make minimum wage shouldn't even have enough money to drive a nice car or even afford a living space. And yet you're saying that they should save up some money? How?
Yeah, he believes that minimum wage should be a motivation to get out of minimum wage. That's
also, we don't know his
ridiculous point that he's
circumstances.
making.
Maybe there's a family member he was able to live with, so he was able to save up this money.
What did I do? I saved up. I got a car, and I started delivering pizzas. Now I got paid minimum wage delivering pizzas, but I made tips. So now I'm making, 50% more than minimum wage. Car broke down, started making pizzas. Back to minimum wage. It's like, this fucking sucks. So I got a job as a busboy at a restaurant, making minimum wage plus tips. Wasn't happy being a busboy, but I was still making 50% more than minimum wage. Mm-hmm. So I got a job being a server after 6 months. Now I'm making double what I made minimum wage. The bottom line is I was resourceful.
No. What about that litany of jobs means you're resourceful? You literally went from shitty minimum wage job to shitty minimum wage job.
Yeah, I think you said like 3 or 4 minimum wage
And then at the end of your little rant, your little litany of like, I worked as a pizza delivery guy, and then I worked making pizza, and then I worked as a busboy.
Obviously, you wasted the money you spent on that car, too, because you said it broke down shortly after you bought it.
Right.
So was that even a good investment?
We did not see any
not.
tremendous social mobility from this guy.
And then at the end of that rant of like, I worked all these low-end fucking shitty jobs because I was resourceful. It's like, no, you didn't. You did it because you're desperate and shitty, and you should recognize that other people in that same desperate, shitty situation actually need help.
And instead of having public policies to help those people, instead, we should do everything in our power to hold them down.
Fuck this guy. What a piece
That's
of
what he's basically advocating for.
People can work for tips. There's a lot of places that work for tips that you can work for tips at.
A lot of people who work for tips get paid less than the regular minimum wage.
So basically what he's saying is let the consumers directly pay the person, because he's talking about tips now.
Yeah, passing on the cost to the consumers.
Before he's like, we don't want to pass on the cost to the consumers. That's going to hurt business. Like, well, consumers are already subsidizing the main places American
His point
tips.
would probably be that tips are not mandatory or something like that.
Oh, well, I mean, come on. Most people in America, when they go, so other countries, sure, but in America, which I'm sure is where he's from, tipping at restaurants in a lot of places is expected. And there's a lot of social pressure. If you don't tip, it's like, well, these people make $2.13 an hour. You're kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
So people that don't tip are pretty much regarded as like scum. But I mean, restaurants now have been experimenting with eliminating tipping and moving to profit sharing, and they're seeing their profits go way up. So this kind of argument that, if we raise wages and we pay people more and we do more, it's just going to kill business. It's not true. And I mean, hey, there might be specific circumstances you can point to where, it did hurt this business. But I think for the vast majority of people, it'll be a positive thing.
Yeah, in Albuquerque, when I was living there, we voted on raising the minimum wage in the city, and that included raising the minimum wage for tipped employees. And a whole bunch of restaurants freaked out. They tried to get their employees to sign contracts saying that they didn't have to pay them the new wage and stuff like that, which I don't even think was legal.
No.
But yeah, I mean, that's how they react. It's funny that, he's talking about not passing on the cost to the consumer, but that's what you do when you underpay your employees and make them work for tips. You're passing on the cost of paying your employees to the customer.
And not only that, a lot of these companies that pay people these shit wages, their employees just end up on government assistance, and it gets paid for by the tax dollars.
And they also get tax credits. A lot of things get subsidized by taxpayers to begin with. So let's just try to help them out. And like you said, someone might get $15 an hour.
It shouldn't be the American taxpayer's job to bring the wage that these employees are getting up to a living wage. It should be their employer's responsibility to pay them a living wage in the fucking first place.
Who's directly benefiting by undervaluing that person's really at the market rate they should be paid.
It needs to be raised to $15 an hour, but we also need to create a stipulation that keeps it adjusting for inflation and keeps it adjusting for cost of living.
Seems completely reasonable.